So we've got this final push going on. I think we're about to get into the real throes of things right now. And I think it's more important in Arizona than in many, many other states to really, for the candidates, I'm going to say peak in mid-September rather than try to do their final push in the last couple of weeks of October. I think if they have money in the war chest, they better plan on spending 80% of what's left in the next 4 weeks. This is the important time right now. So why is that? I think getting the timing in Arizona is so important because of our early voting and mail-in voting process. It is more popular in Arizona, and it's more accessible than in many other states, which means we really don't have a November 5th game day type deadline. There is no opening night performance, right? We don't have that happening right now. So consider this. Joe, do you do the vote by mail?
I do.
I love it. I've referred to this as concierge voting. Do you realize what happens with vote by mail is that a government employee will drive to your house, will drop off your ballot, you fill your ballot out, and then you just give it back to a government employee who will then take it to the vote counting center.
Yeah, you can drop it right in your mailbox. You can take it to another mailbox. You can take it to one of the drop boxes across the state.
You don't even have to do that.
You don't have to.
You just hand it to the guy in the little white truck. That's it. That's all you got to do.
You don't even have to do that. You can just walk 2 feet outside your front door and plop it in your mailbox, and the person in the white truck will come and get it for you.
Election day ballots go out very shortly. I believe, what is it, October?
So 2 weeks from
9th?
now, military and overseas ballots go out on the 21st of September. And then, yes, October 9th, ballots get mailed out and the drop boxes are available to everybody.
Which means, and I don't know if you do this, I used to wait until the last possible minute to fill out my ballot. And the reason I did that
surprises me.
Well, I don't do it anymore. But here was my logic at the time. If I want to have that ballot in my hand because I want to make sure that if something happens, something changes, if something drastic occurs that could change my mind, I don't want to have already voted. And then all of a sudden I find out that
the October surprise rolls in.
Right. Exactly. And so I used to hold off on that. Now I just get it out of the way. Yep, I've become so much more cynical. I say, you know what, I'm just going to fill this out. Let me just get it out of the way. And I grab a Sharpie, and I start punching holes in the paper with my Sharpie. And then I start using nail polish to paint over that. And, yep.
Do you white some out?
Yeah, and then I use whiteout, and then I laminate it. And then I fold it up, and then I turn it in.
Make an airplane out of it?
It's exactly what I do. Yep. Because I figure if somebody's you want to complain about the ballots, I'll give you something to complain about. And then I just royally screw mine up.
That's good.
So the early voting starts on October 9th. The mail-in ballots go out on October 9th. And then they can actually start tallying the early ballots on October 9th. Which means that if you are Kerry Lake, Ruben Gallego, who else? Justin Heap, right? If you are anybody else that is getting ready to Stanton, Gosar, you name it, whomever else,
Schweikert,
right?
Biggs.
Yeah, perfect. If you are any of these people, you want to get all of your momentum up right before that ballot hits somebody's mailbox, so that you are fresh in their mind, top of mind awareness. They know, you know what? I just saw that thing on Schweikert. I got to make sure I fill that out for him. And you're going to do it as soon as you get that ballot. For some of you, it'll sit on the kitchen counter for a couple of weeks. I get that, but this is the only time that anyone is allowed to campaign while there's a ballot in somebody's hand.
I do feel like we have election day in November, but I do feel like it's election month is October, where, to your point, the ballots are out, and from October 9th on, people can be voting, and candidates can still be campaigning.
I just said that.
Right. I just said to your point. Yeah. So it's a full month of that, basically, where that's going on. And every single one of those days is critical.
How much do you think people are going to vote by mail this year after all the arguing over the last 4 years?
A lot. I have it between, I would guess on the low end, 70%, on the high end, 80% of people in Arizona.
All right.
What do you think?
That would still be down from 2020.
Yeah, well, 2020 was a different set of circumstances than what we're dealing with in 2024.
Yeah.
Because 2020, we were already in the throes of COVID during voting, weren't we?
Yes. Yeah, we were.
So,
and we didn't have a vaccine at that point either.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people will vote by mail, but I don't think it's going to be, was it 90% back then?
Yeah, 89, 90%. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, all right, handicap it. How many people do you think are going to be voting by mail this time? Oh, you said between 70 and 80%?
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. My concern is sort of the confusing messaging that the GOP's been putting out. Because after 2020, it was mail-in ballots cost us this election. Trump was talking about how he was way up in Arizona until they started counting mail-in ballots, so it's obviously fraud. Kerry Lake has gone on and done all the circuits, and we've had lots of news stories about Kerry Lake, the mail-in ballots, fraudulent. We got illegals voting by mail, Venezuelan drug lords filling out ballots. There's 20,000 mules who are voting, this sort of thing, right? And all that stuff, of course, has been debunked. All of it, categorically. It's been debunked. But it doesn't matter. The messaging was out there. And as we know, it's not what the truth is what you tell people over and over and over and over again.
But I think the GOP realized that was a loser message, too, that they were not going to be able to put the genie back in the bottle and get enough people back out to the polls in their favor. Now, they might be able to do some things at the legislature and through propositions, but as long as people can vote by mail, even Republicans majoritively want to vote by mail. They're not going to flood the polls on November 5th.
Let me tell you, the GOP is really regretting that they went down this path. Really regretting it. Because think about who votes by mail. Largely, it's people who have mobility issues, right? Now, in Arizona, we do it for convenience. Mm-hmm. But to end this would require a nationwide push. It has to be more than a local issue because it's been so popular in Arizona. You would have to somehow change everyone's minds, and that's not going to come without some sort of a national message about how dangerous it is, which, of course, is what we saw in 2021, I guess, as we were arguing over the 2020 election. But if you have Meemaw in her house in Sun City.
In her rascal scooter?
Exactly. She's not driving to the polling place, right? She stopped going to church a couple of years ago because it was just too hard to get there, but she still listens to church programming on the radio or something, right? I mean, this is who largely is voting by mail. And if the Republicans are losing these votes, also, Meemaw loves to vote. She's never missed an election.
Yeah, one or two of Meemaw's friends might make their way down to the polling place, but I would bet the other 7 or 8 are perfectly happy to do this from their living room.
Absolutely they are. And if you've got mobility issues and you have older generations who want to vote and they want to vote Republican, it's going to cost the Republicans more than it's going to cost the Democrats if they end it. And right now, there's a lot of mistrust within the entire system, and I think that's backfiring on the GOP, which is why you've seen even Trump change his messaging on that.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe, and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.